All in favor? Any opposed? The motion passes.
Thank you very much.
The first item of business is approval of the board's public meeting, minutes of the board's public meeting on December 9th, 2005. Is there a motion to approve the minutes? Those in favor? Any opposed? The motion passes. Our next regular public meeting will be on Thursday, February 18th at 7:30 p.m. here at the Chicago Public Safety Headquarters. At this time, I ask for a motion to close a series of executive sessions for the purposes of considering personnel matters and litigation as authorized by Sections 2, C1, 3, 4, and 11 of the Illinois Open Meetings Act. Is there such a motion? All those in favor? Any opposed? The motion passes. The schedule of the board's regular monthly public meetings for 2016 is in the blue books, made available at tonight's public meeting and is posted on the board's website. A report of disciplinary actions taken by the board during the previous month has been made available at this evening's meeting. This report and the board's written findings and decisions are posted on the board's website. There are no disciplinary actions on the agenda for this evening's meeting. Pursuant to Rule 52, the superintendent has requested the board's permission to solicit funds and sponsor to the annual police recognition ceremony and luncheon to be held in May 2016. Is there a motion to approve the superintendent's request, conditional upon an accounting of all funds received and expended being provided to the police board following the conclusion of this event? All those in favor? Any opposed? Now, we have tried to go through our business portion of our meeting as quickly as possible so that we can provide as much time as possible for public comment. As you know, our normal procedure is we ask folks to sign up in advance to speak, and we will call all of those who have signed up in advance to speak tonight. In addition, we've also afforded folks an opportunity to sign up here tonight. Our focus is on the superintendent search, and we invite people to talk to us about two particular questions in particular. The first is, what attributes would you like to see in the next superintendent? And secondly, what are the specific policy priorities that you would like the superintendent to see? Before I go into more detail about that, and I will give you an update on where we are in the process of the superintendent search, for those of you who are not familiar with our process and don't come in every week, we thought it would be helpful to allow the members of the police board to briefly introduce themselves. I'm going to introduce Dr. Carol Adams, who's going to function as our moderator tonight. And then we'll take care of one other order of business. So let me start with, I'll start. My name is Lori Lightfoot. I'm a lawyer by training. I work at a law firm here in Chicago by the name of Mayor Brown. I'm president of the Chicago Police Board. Sorry for the large podium. Why don't I stand for a second? Is that better? Yeah. Those in the back of the room? And I'll pass, I think we have microphones. As I indicated, I started as president of the police board. I think my first official meeting was August of this year. I have a lot of experience in and around policing issues from my time as a federal prosecutor, and I was also, years ago, chief administrator of the Office of Professional Standards. We believe that these meetings serve a very valuable purpose, both for you and for us. For us, it's an opportunity for us to hear from you about a range of issues. And again, those of you, and many of you I recognize from prior meetings, know that you come and we listen to the things that you have to say, and I'll have more specifics about that with respect to the superintendent search. But we believe that this is a very opportune time for us to hear from you, for us to provide you with information about not only the disciplinary cases that we have handled in any given time, but in particular now, for us to let you know where we are, what our thoughts are regarding, I think, one of the most important public policy decisions in the short term, and that is the selection of the next superintendent. But I'll stop there and then defer to my Vice President, Ian.
Hello, I'm Ian. I am the Vice President. I'm the Vice President of the Police Board. I've been on the board for about 6 years now. I I'm the Executive Director of Greater Southwest Community Development, on the southwest side of the city. Work in Chicago-Mon, Inglewood, West Inglewood.
Good evening, my name is Melissa Vallate. I've been on the board since June 2010. Lifelong Chicago resident, and I have a branding business. Thank you for being here.
My name is Bill Conlon. I'm a lawyer working for city law in downtown. I've been on the board about a little more than 4 years. As Lori said, many of you I recognize from having been here before. Thank you for having come before. Thank you for coming tonight. The comments have all been very helpful about understanding what's going on. Secondly, Lori also mentioned, tonight's likely to hear from you about attributes you'd like to see in the new superintendent as you move ahead doing our part in that service. So thanks for being here.
Good evening, my name is Rita Bryan. I'm a retired Cook County Public Defender, and I've been on the police board for 5 years.
Good evening. Thanks for coming. I'm John Simpson. I started life as a police officer in Los Angeles. I'm a lawyer and serve on a number of community boards here in Chicago. The only thing I would say is the time we allot to speak is 2 minutes each. I've always found in life that the best thoughts I've ever had are right after I finish speaking and walk out the door. And I'm always frustrated on getting a chance to say them. We very strongly encourage you to submit written comments, to send emails to the police board website. Any thoughts you have are welcome. So it isn't just limited to this community meeting, but we completely welcome any thoughts you have about our superintendent search or any other matters, and they can be submitted to our website on email or in any other fashion you deem appropriate. Thanks for being here.
Good evening, I'm Rose Sweeney. I'm a retired judge in the Circuit Court of Cook County. In my career, I have served as a supervisor in narcotics forfeitures. I have also served as a appointed defender in the federal court system. I volunteer once a week at the Haymarket Drug Recovery Center, and I'm on the County Justice Advisory Board. I've seen a lot in the communities in the courtroom, and I am anxious to hear from you. Thank you for attending.
Hi, I'm Claudia Valenzuela. I am a lawyer with the National Marine Justice Center. I have basically focused my tenure at the National Marine Justice Center working with men and women and facing deportation who are in Department of Homeland Security custody, many of them on the basis of encounters with the criminal justice system, on the basis of criminal offenses. I am really interested in hearing what you all have to say and hope to be responsive in my role to what you all bring forth today.
All right, one last housekeeping matter. Is there a motion to authorize the president of the board to take appropriate administrative action, including the negotiation and entry of the contract when the expenditure of funds for purposes of allowing the police board to discharge its duties under section 284-0301 of the City of Chicago Municipal Code? All those in favor? Any opposed? The motion passes. So let me talk to you a little bit about the format that we're going to use tonight. Many of you already signed up ahead of time. We've also encouraged other folks who come tonight to sign up. Dr. Carol Adams will kind of moderate the discussion tonight. We're going to try to get as many people involved in the discussion as possible. And let me give you, before I pass the baton, if you will, to Dr. Adams, let me give you a little bit of an update on where we are in the superintendent search. As many of you know, we opened the application process on December 10th with a detailed application, and the deadline for submission of the application for people that were interested in applying for the superintendent job was last Friday, January 15th. By the close of business on Friday, we had received 39 applications for folks who were interested in applying for the superintendent job. We really received a variety and diversity of applicants, both people who are current members of the Chicago Police Department, folks who had previous experience with the Chicago Police Department, as well as a number of people from across the country. and their experiences vary from folks who had experience in local law enforcement, the military, we had some lawyers, we even had somebody as far away as Canada. So we were very encouraged by the diversity, the depth of experience, and frankly the seriousness with which the applicants took our application process. As you may recall, the application itself, aside from kind of listing the attributes and requesting the usual things that you would request, included 8 separate essay questions that we called upon each applicant to complete. And I highlight that for you because if you look at the range of questions that were covered in the essay questions, they really reflect information that you all have provided us, really going back at least as long as my tenure, if not before, and people outside of this room expressing their concern, their anger, and their frustration over a lot of different things related to different aspects of the Chicago Police Department. I want you to be clear that we have heard you. We have heard you not only in the things that you've said, and I'll call it constructive criticism about the police department and your experiences, but we've heard you in the kind of things that you believe are important for the applicants to have, and the priorities and the policies. And tonight gives us another opportunity for you to educate us about the things that are top of mind and most concern to you. And just to complete the process, we now have the applications. The board is going to convene and decide which applicants that we're going to bring back for interviews. That process is probably at least a couple weeks away. So your input still matters to us and is timely. And then once we bring the applicants in for interviews, we'll convene shortly thereafter and whittle the list down. Now, by ordinance, we are authorized to provide the mayor with a list of recommendations up to 3 people. We don't know as we sit here today if the number will be 3 or will be something less than 3. But we're engaged in that process now, and we really do want to hear from you tonight. And as my colleague John Simpson said, if you think about something later, there's lots of other ways in which you can interact with us. And if you frankly don't want to get up and state your piece in front of this large audience, again, call us, email us, send us a letter, pull us to the side afterwards, but we do want to hear from you. Now I'll stop there and then turn it over to Carol Adams.
Good evening, friends and colleagues and people who are interested in getting it right. My name is Carol Adams. I'm your moderator for the evening. Something I have to think long and hard about before agreeing to do. Because as a veteran of scores of public hearings, I know how things can get when passions are high and when the cause is just. So, again, I have to think about it. But in the wake of our recent observances of Dr. Martin Luther King, one of his favorite quotes of mine came to mind and spurred my decision, where he said, the ultimate measure of a man or a woman is not whether she stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where she stands at times of challenge and controversy. And this is such a time. So I come tonight to stand in that gap, to seek with you some ground upon which to stand and deliver a platform for the forum we need to have if we are ever to change the tenor and reality of police-community relations in this city and in our country. Reminiscing about King also made me remember his hopes for Chicago expressed in Grant Park in 1966, where he said Chicago is a city of both tremendous shame and shining glory. And we are here to issue a call to conscience that Chicago might forsake her shame and rise to the challenge of our age and creatively pursue the path of glory. So to come here tonight to help to fix Chicago, to right the wrongs for which our city has become the poster child, not just to save our city, but to save our children, ourselves, and our humanity. I applaud everyone who has come tonight to speak your piece in defiance of those who say it won't mean anything. For I am convinced that if you are not at the table, you are certainly on the menu. And we mean not just to speak, but to be heard. Our community is not crying out for more policing, but for better policing. We are fans of service and protection, not racism and repression. We insist on the highest standard of accountability from the top down, and that includes boards such as this. History is being made here because in its long history, this is the first time the board has invited live, real-time input from the community when it came to superintendent selection. So tonight is about accountability. We expect that things will be different because the community has had genuine input into this process. We expect you who sit here to represent us and not the status quo. We believe that working together we can remove the barriers to Chicago being our promised land once again and end the social injustices that abound here. And we look forward to your reporting back to us on your progress toward that end. But the expectations and the accountability extend to us, the community, as well. We must seize this opportunity not for oratory, but to make specific recommendations on the kind of person we want for superintendent and the priorities that must be on his or her agenda. We know the answers do not lie in more policing, rather they require different policing. We know that the person who occupies this office must set the tone and change the culture. We know that the code of silence exists from the street to the precinct and even in our own homes, and this must stop. So tonight we speak out respectfully because we are part of the solution. We here to elevate because our opinions and our lives matter. Each speaker has 2 minutes, 120 very precious seconds. So be respectful of each speaker and let them have their say. You, in turn, stick to your time limit so we can get in as many people as possible. Approximately 30 people have signed up so far. We have a hard stop at 9 p.m., so we're going to try to get to as many as possible. I'm going to take first the people who signed in through calling or online, and then we'll take the people who signed in tonight. First, Sandra Cole. I'm going to call about 5 names so people can come up and be ready. And we'll do it a little quicker. Sandra Cole, Dan Fine, Todd St. Hill, Jeanette Cummings, and Monica James.
What about Dr. Service? Monica James will be coming later. Right here.
All right.
I'm here today because my son was murdered on July 16, 2011. He was my only child. He was 2 weeks short of leaving for college. My son was labeled by Commissioner Amber. I had a business in Hyde Park, on 53rd and Harper at the time. And on the front page, he was murdered that Saturday. Front page, the next time the paper came out, it said that my son was a gangbanger, that he was very active in a gang. He had no information to back that statement that he made, so I called my pastor, Smith, on 38th in Indiana, and we had a meeting with him and Sergeant Ford. In the meeting, he said those things to common community, but it was at my son's expense. Now, it's been 4.5 years since my baby was murdered, and they never investigated his case. So it's still open. I had to go to court, and the judge actually said that my son did nothing to contribute to his death, and he referred to Lisa Medical's office. So my question is that I actually spoke to the guy at the end at Father Blakey's one day. Actually, the chief of the the guy that did investigate the case, he did call me up finally, because they don't communicate with us as much. If we call them, it's like we're irritating them, like, what do you want? I don't have any more information, they never call me back. So by me getting information to the superintendent, he did call me back, but it's been like 2 years. So I just want my baby's case investigated, because he wasn't a bad boy, and if he was, I mean, it doesn't value his life, but my son was a decent kid, and he deserved that.
Interim Superintendent Escalante, do you want to respond?
I remember the case, and we did ask the detectives follow up, so I will make sure they recontact you, and I will get an update as to the status of the investigation.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
We love you, ma'am. Love you.
Same here, Jeanette Cummings, Monica James. Okay.
2012, the year Rekia Boyd was murdered by Dante Servant, there was on average one police shooting per week. Her family has been fighting for justice and mourning ever since. Between 2010 and 2014, CPD was ranked 4th in the country for killing people. Yet the CPD has gotten better and more funding than our public schools. The prisons have better funding than our mental health clinics. The city would rather pay over $521 million for a decade of police misconduct and defend corrupt, violent, murdering cops like Dante Servant and force poor and working people to show up in front of bodies of former corrupt law enforcement and prosecutors to get accountability. Instead, the city should fire Dante Servant and cops like him, cut the CPD budget, and invest in working and poor families. Many of those breadwinners, black women, 38% of those black women working low-wage jobs to pay for rising rent and child care costs. Our time and our tax dollars need to go into our communities and not into defending killer cops like Dante Servant.
I'm sorry, but the fine, but the family not here. Jeanette Cummings. I'm gonna call the next 5 to Monica James, Shante Needham, Calvin Hardwick, Latoya, Letitia, and Latanya Jones.
Both of the prior speakers make the point by illustration of what I think I'd like to see the police make a priority. And that is, I think it is extremely important that the superintendents that we choose and that the policies that we work with are policies that invest a tremendous amount in the idea of making sure that the police work with the community in a very active way. Mrs. Lightfoot has recently spoken of the fact that the problems of violence are problems that go way back into not just what police have or have not done, but what the disinvestment in our whole community that has gone down. That, as we know, the schools, as all of the things that have been shown to be the level of unemployment, the level of poverty, the kinds of things that actually make it so explosive in our city. So what I'm saying is that we have examples of police in other jurisdictions, and once upon a time police here, who actually went out and established ways in which they interacted with the community in benign ways, where they actually were assigned to actually have baseball teams. In Robert Taylor Homes, there was a period of time when the police actually helped to educate on computers. When the police were looked upon as friends, I believe that has to be one of the things that we do again in order to interact with people as if they are people and not, as the first speaker said, gang bangers. We are people who have 90% unemployment rate, who have schools that are crumbling, who need mentors. And I believe that we should have a police force that actually portions a great deal of its time into interacting with the community in that fashion. Therefore, I would say it's imperative that you choose a superintendent who is above all a proven, demonstrated community man or woman. Thank you.
Mike Dennis, please.
Good evening, people, to the community that I serve and respect and utmost highly love. Last month, we requested that you all step down. This month, we're coming to you all with a different demand from our proposal of demands. We're asking that take the time, take the initiative. If you don't want to accept the accountability in a public fashion, take the initiative to accept the accountability to say that these people deserve their dignity. If I can't grant these people any other thing in my professional duty to uphold and respect the laws that grant these people behind me their basic human needs and rights. Take the initiative to ask these people, the people who have suffered the loss of their beloved loved ones, shattered, shot dead, mowed down, however you categorize it. But take the initiative to gather these people, the immediate people, in one space, in one circle, at one time, and listen to them. Put your barn fires together. Bring out your fine wines. Bring out your therapeutic settings. And listen to the stories that these people have to offer you to make you a better professional human being. We don't deny that you are a great person, but what we're denying is that your professional person is not meeting the professional needs that we look forward to as human beings under the same common law. Look, Lori Lightfoot, don't put your hands over your eyes and shake your heads unless that's a deep sign of remorse. Keep it cute. These people are suffering. If you don't want to listen to the activists, the students, yes, my time is up. But if you don't want to listen to the activists and the voices of the community, listen to the families who are individually impacted by the experience and the work ethics of the people that you have government over.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm coming on behalf of my sisters, Stanley Williams, Rakita Boyd, Betty Jones, Ronald Johnson, Laquan Cedric Chapman, and Antonio Weir. I want to take this time to read to you a part of your mission that you have. And it simply says, IPRA is charged with the mission of maintaining the highest level of integrity while conducting objective, thorough investigations, striving to reach a sound and just conclusion. As I continue with what I'm saying, I want you guys to think if you guys are complying with what your mission is. Police brutality, police misconduct is at an all-time high. It's getting absolutely out of control. In police custody deaths, Sandra Bland, Texas; Kendra Chapman, Alabama; Joyce Cornell, South Carolina; Joaquina Jones, Ohio; Alexis McGovern, Missouri; Raynetta Turner, New York. The last one, 16-year-old Gina McMillan, Kentucky. All of these women were found unresponsive while in police custody. Everyone, with the exception of Gianna, happened within a month's time. Now tell me something is wrong there. All of these deaths are occurring. No one is doing anything about it. What is your purpose? What purpose do you serve? Each one of you that's sitting in those chairs. Could you think back for a minute if it were your daughter, your son, your mother? How would you feel? Would you not want people to advocate on their behalf? Would you not want people to ask questions, what happened to my loved one? What is going on? What are you all going to do about this? Clearly, it's a systemic issue, and I believe that rules, protocols, procedures, department heads, etc., must be completely dismantled in order to fix this systemic issue. Tuesday, I heard Black Lives Matter co-founder Patrice say something that was very powerful, and I want to leave you guys with this. No, hold on. Why should taxpayers continue to pay dollars to those executioners who does not value human life? Tell me why is Dante Servant still on the roster? Tell me why is George Hernandez still on the roster? Tell me why is Kevin Fry still on the roster? Tell me why is Robert Riamo still on the roster? I heard you, but guess what? There is no amount of time that you can put on a family's grief and pain. So I think that you guys should allow a little bit more time than 2 minutes. But I'm gonna leave you with this. What will you guys do to ensure that Black Lives Matter and save us?
We want to ask people if you do see seats, you take seats, if you would. It's the absence of Calvin, Latoya, Letitia, and Tanya Jones.
Hi, everybody. My name is Latoya Jones. This is my sister, Natasha Jones. I'm speaking on behalf of Letitia, Latanya Jones, and Anthony Jones. We are the children of Betty Jones, who got murdered the day after Christmas by the police. She was doing her civic duty of helping the police and got mauled down like a dog. My mama didn't deserve to die this way. What is y'all gonna do about this situation? Too many people died for senseless conduct of y'all cops of Chicago PD and around the world. This nonsense needs to stop. Like seriously, too many people is dying, losing. We grieving. Everybody's grieving. Y'all have to do something about this. Like.
It's a black thing. It's a minority thing. It's a minority thing.
What are y'all gonna do with that? You know, what are y'all guys gonna do about y'all police is just shoot without asking questions? And still on the payroll. While we grieving, struggling, trying to pay for burials and funerals and plots and stuff. We the ones who got to wake up every day crying because we missing our mom. Grandkids missing their grandkids. She's not even going to see them grow up to be anything. She's gone now. We got to deal with this pain. Y'all still got y'all mom. Some of y'all, I'm not going to say everybody, but half of y'all still have y'all mom. We don't have our mom. That's all we had was our mom. She was our everything. Now she's gone. We got to deal with this pain. And we lost our mom to gun violence. She didn't die of a natural cause. She died of a hand of a trigger half a cop.
It shouldn't even be that.
We have a lot of people who would like to speak tonight. We have a lot of people who are gathered here. Folks that are coming down and standing in front of folks, that's not going to be acceptable. You got to take your seats. Let the people who are here see and hear, but you got to take your seats. And we can't have people coming in front of the front row, all right? Well, sir, that's going to be the rule. If you don't like it, you can leave. But we're going to have people, we're not going to have people walking all around, standing up. You have to take your seats and be respectful of the other people in here. Thank you.
Good job.
If I can add a comment to the Jones family issue. Since your last, I'm Larry Rogers Jr., I represent the Jones family. Since your last meeting of December 9th, 26, they lost their mother. The day after Christmas, and a hail of bullets fired from a police officer who was several feet, as much as 20 feet away from the doorway of the house, indiscriminately firing through walls, through doorways, when he knew there were innocent people in the house. If that happened in the neighborhood, it would be called a drive-by shooting. But it happened. Your issue here is what do we expect in your selection of a new superintendent and what policies need to be implemented. First of all, you need a superintendent who not only is familiar with and knows the community, but loves the community. Okay? And feels that they are a part of the community. Secondly, and most importantly, as a lawyer who handles these cases, one of the most unnerving things we see is not just the shooter, but everybody around the shooter covering for you. The cover-up oftentimes is much worse than the act, because you have officers who are lying in reports, who are covering up for officers that they should be pointing at as the type of officer they do not want to serve with. So I implore you, when you select a new superintendent, require that he relate to the rank and file that it will not be tolerated if they defend corrupt criminal officers. And they will point at them because they do not represent the type of police department that the city of Chicago deserves.
I want to let you know, and other folks know, that particularly with respect to your last point, if you look at the application for superintendent, specifically the essay questions, one of the very things that we ask the next superintendent to expound upon, and that we will be following up with them in interviews, is the very question of how do you incentivize officers not only to have integrity for themselves, but to make sure that they are doing everything that they can to identify their peers, their colleagues, and so forth on the same issue. So we've heard that, and we are very much focused on that issue.
The problem is, it should be a moral obligation to do it. Secondly, you shouldn't have to incentivize honesty and truth. It shouldn't have to be incentivized. And the reason I would suggest that you see officers covering for one another is because there is no accountability when they don't. They're held accountable, meaning in the case of Laquan McDonald, every officer who prepared a false police report defending what was contradicted by videotape should be charged. Absolutely. Once that starts to happen, they will fear lying. They will fear covering things up, and you will see a change. I suggest
Robert McKay, John Hawkins, Rachel Williams, Zakia Muhammad. Yes, that would be Robert McKay, if he's around. It's not John Hawkins. It's not Rachel Williams. And then Zakia.
So, you guys know me well enough. There's no point of introductions. Question, why, if you have not been confirmed by city council, are you actually taking the seat? Because if I'm not confirmed to work, I ain't working. So I'm trying to figure that out. So when is that confirmation gonna actually happen? So you were confirmed, great. So also, I wanna ask this question. If it's in the FOP contract that 30 days upon termination, why haven't any of you guys used it? So if a police officer commits a crime, including killing 2 people, why hasn't it been used actually out of their contract? Since we all want to be all about unions, specifically about the FOP, instead of CTU, instead of Fight for the Team. So let's be real about this right now. Question, how did you work with immigration, but you are sitting on the police review board that also helps ICE do deportations? I have a real big question that needs to be answered that none of you seem to do that well. So when we talk about accountability, you're talking about police department, we don't need no new cops. We don't need no good ones, because there ain't no good ones. Because there's no reason when Betty Jones and Quintonia LaGreer's bodies were taken to the morgue, that it took hours before them to find out it was actually a police-involved shooting. Because had it not been, you would have labeled it a gang shooting and would have kept it moving. So when we talk about accountability, have accountability for your officers. Why are we justifying and sitting up there saying, what will you do as a police chief? You should know what the heck you're doing if I'm paying you. We should not even have to be having this conversation. This is time and time again, and you said you would have a statement for Dante Servant. It will be 4 years in March. Why is he still on my payroll, and why am I still paying for him?
I believe that we informed you at our December meeting that the case of Dante Servant has now come before the police board. The initial status hearings have been held, and shortly the evidentiary hearing will be set. If you want to follow the progress of the case, that information will be on the police department, on the police board website.
So it takes about 6 weeks to actually lock up a black man, but it takes you 4 years to lock up Dante Servant.
Why did you have to ask you promise an update at the December 9th meeting? And you said nothing because it isn't here. Why did you have to ask you? Why did you have to ask you? I'll wait.
Could we please hear Sister Muhammad?
Could you stop talking?
Yeah, let somebody else talk.
Good evening, everybody, especially Lori Lane, because I was at the police board meeting at Kennedy King when we all gathered there, and we asked questions. So you, more than anybody else up here, you know that we trust none of you all. We have no confidence in you all at all. So nothing that you've ever done on behalf of our community, although I do know that you stood up and represented the city of Chicago and argued why black people didn't need reparations. I remember that. But just to get to my point, I think that we need to get on with the business of finding out if your board is going to sit with the U.S. Attorney General's people and critique the contract for the Fraternal Order of Police. That's the language in that contract, language that needs to be taken away and language that needs to be implemented. But the U.S. Attorney General, since those people are here and you all say you're working with them, they got to open up that contract because that contract protects killer police, abusive police. They working. If I kill anybody up here, I go straight to jail. The police kill, they go home to their family, make love to their wife, never stop once they kill a black man or a black woman, or their paycheck. So we want that contract critique, tear it up, and make a new one. That's all I got to say.
The Task Force on Police Accountability is specifically looking at the collective bargaining agreements, the state statutes, the ordinances, all of the legal infrastructure that pertains to police accountability. So that is something that's under review.
That's not good enough.
The whole contract you're saying is going to be looked into?
That's not good enough. That's whitewash.
No. The Fraternal Order of Police contract.
I'm saying, Amanda, there's multiple collective bargaining agreements. All of them are being looked at.
Shoot it down.
Well, our lawyer, our legal people have some input in this as well, because we need somebody there that we trust. Can our legal people be present with those
If you provide their contact information, we'll
I
follow.
can think you are lying. That's what you want.
Could we please have a little order so we can hear the speakers? The next group are Krista Noel, Martina Sutton, Queen Sister, and Robert Moore.
Krista?
Good evening, everyone. I'm really hot, angry, mad, all those things. I call this the making of a militant, right? You know, I'm ready to go out and get my black turtleneck sweater, my black leather jacket, my black beret, and get a gun. And it ain't gonna be about cop watch, it's gonna be about cop patrol. Really seriously, think about it. Think about it. If I had shot and killed Rihanna for killing Betty, you wouldn't have been able to put me in jail. You wouldn't have been able to put me in jail because I would have been defending Betty's life. I would have been defending Quintonia. Yeah, it's cop patrol. If I had shot Van Dyke, you wouldn't have been able to put me in jail. Because I would have been defending him. Y'all gotta understand, it's too much. It's too much. 16 shots, seven, you gotta shoot a 19-year-old 7 times? Really? What's up? Do we need to give you revolvers so you actually have to pull the trigger? I don't understand. But you are making militants. Yeah. And I have my open carry, right? And I'll march around this here right here, right? I'll march around 35th and Michigan with an open carry weapon in my black.
Right, say that.
Understand what is happening in the community. Oh, I know they don't care. But this is what's happening. And it's not just ripping at the families, okay? It's not just ripping at the families. This boy, Riamo, a boy, okay? 3 years on the force. Came from the Marines. The Marines? What did he go to, Iraq or something? Did he learn how to shoot like that in Iraq?
He has anxiety.
Okay. I'm going to say one more thing. It has to stop. It has to stop. It has to stop. You are lighting Chicago on fire. The day after Christmas, I was happy. The police superintendent gone. Chief of IPRA gone. DOJ investigation. Van Dyke first-degree murder, and it didn't stop this boy from shooting 2 people. It didn't stop him. Come on. What do you all want? Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Thank you, boy.
Blessings. My name is Queen Sister, and I represent the Texas Village Organization. Allow me to say, we started with a war on the poor, blacks under attack, Negroes under siege, and now we're being executed in the streets as Operation Pull the Trigger, Kill a Nigga continues. The headlines read that 2 were fatally shot, 1 accidentally, and 1 not. It is clear what your intention is toward the young black men in this city. I mean, it's suicide, it's genocide, nationwide. Let's be clear. I want to say that the Cook County Sheriff, Superintendent, is a conservative of peace. It is his or her duty as a peacemaker in the county in which they live to prevent the crime and maintain safety and order among the citizens. You all have prevented them from doing their job and protecting us as citizens. For you all that's over this selection of a superintendent, I want you to know that Negrophobia, say it please, Negrophobia is real. And we would like for the Chicago police to have a Negrophobia evaluation. Negrophobia is a fear of blacks or Negro people worldwide. It can be influenced by various of things such as traumatic events or circumstances, but typically a manifestation of racism and bigotry. I presented to you last month a neighborhood safe passage. No, I am the creator of the safe passage, because everybody's taking credit for it. I presented to you a Project Safe Neighborhood regarding the child protection safety mechanism in my community. And I thought you would be sensitive enough to contact me to say, let's work together to do what needs to be done, because I have the solution, and it's clear that you all do not. I'll wrap it up. You and Army Manuel stood in front of their television for 20 minutes talking about the public safety issue with tasers. Not once did you mention Dominique Ferguson, the 21-year-old pregnant black female whose body was stuffed in the red suitcase in the Roseland community. We have dead black women and another cover-up. Roseland community is Chicago's killing field. We will be providing testimony before the United Nations, who will be here on the 24th and the 25th at Chicago State University. It is to them that I will present the algorithm, the village panacea, so that we can initiate our healing, because we know this SOS is not a test, and we must save ourselves. And after that, we will present it to you.
Thank you. All right. I think we're going to be able to get to everybody who is on the list. Try, if you can, to stick to your 2 minutes. Mr. Sutton.
Well, y'all know what I'm doing. It's been 4 years. First of all, I wish I could say Happy New Year, but the truth of the matter is, ain't nothing been happy since my sister been gone. I don't know what's taking so long to investigate somebody that said you meant to kill a motherfucker that night. I was telling you what the officer told me. Excuse my French, I don't disrespect my elders, but right now, I truly believe my elders understand. This right here, straight from the heart. It's already hard being a black man out here. Just being a black man, it's hard trying to keep your sanity. This dude took my baby sister. How y'all think I feel right now? Anger. I'm way past pain right now. Just to walk out the door every day. Matter of fact, to look at my mother in her eyes and to see her pain. As a black man, do you know what that do to me? But then, when I lose my mind, that's what motherfuckers want to care. And speak out and say, oh, he's another black man that lost his mind. Y'all don't offer no mental health care services. None of y'all. Ain't nobody come at me and said, here go a doctor. Here go a therapist. Growing up in the hood, you see this every day, but when it happens to yours, oh, you really feel it. See, why the superintendent search and none of that, it ain't gonna work, because none of y'all give a damn. Y'all don't give a damn, but y'all not part of this inner city experience. How can you take care of what you don't understand? And then at the same time, you ain't trying to understand because just by the color of my skin, you already showing prejudice against me. Just walking outside, I bet you a couple of folks probably already called me a nigga. I take that. I know my time is up, but just to make this clear, and first of all, I hate to welcome my sisters and my other family to this club, the most fucked up club that I ever been part of. All I'm asking for is a little bit of justice for my sister. I'm not the only one that's hurt out here. You see my family behind me? Everybody hurt out here, and nobody's doing it. What are y'all investigating? This officer on dash cam, he went inside his vehicle, moved his vehicle from one side of the street to the other. Just don't touch it. Just don't touch it. I'm gonna finish in a second. Just don't touch it.
Don't touch him. Don't touch him. If you don't feel his pain, that's right. You don't feel his pain. You don't feel his pain because it's not your kid. That's not your daughter. That's not your daughter. That's why you don't feel his pain. You don't feel nobody's pain because it's not your kid. It's not your kid. That's right. It's not your kid. You're not gonna feel pain until it's your kid. You have to use your kid. You're gonna understand where we're coming from. You're gonna understand where we're coming from. That's your kid. Don't touch him. Don't touch him.
You big could have came off that bench and spoke the truth.
Because y'all really on this level, and y'all don't feel no pain. But if that was your son or your daughter, I guarantee you, all you officers will take your badge off, you'll take your uniform off, you'll come right here speaking about somebody killing your kid. You gonna talk about officers with your kid. You would. You would. You would. You don't feel this man pain. Almost 4 years. 4 years. 4 years. I'm telling you, we all ready for the same thing. Take your butt. It's over with now. Come on, let's go. It's over with. It's over with.
Hey. We ain't here to fight with each other. We ain't here to fight with each other. We'll fight with each other somewhere else, but not here. You know what I'm saying?
Get off.
Deborah Hopkins.
He's messing up the call. Y'all do that outside of these
They act like they feel somebody pain, but you're not gonna feel the pain until it's your child shot by a police officer. You're gonna take your hands off your uniform on, and you're gonna come on outside and say, we gotta deal with our assholes. Every day. You put us through this. Every day. Nobody knows. And then you sit there and realize, man. You all please give your attention to Mr. Boyd. Hello, we gonna fight about Black Lives Matter.
Robert J. Moore speaking on behalf of the 2 Michael the Archangel. It is the 21st of January of 2016. At this point, martial law has still not been imposed. A salute goes out to all of the people throughout this country who have been contribution that has kept them in their positions. Yet, as things are now, there's nothing compared to what life will be if martial law is imposed. And the United Nations Agenda 21 is a living hell on earth. I also want to recognize Mr. Foreman. It's just totally unfair to throw all of the people on that side of this line, or all the police officers, or everything. I feel Mr. Sutton's pain as a real tragedy, and what I'm trying to do is finding a solution out of this so that the arrangements will not be in place in the future where this type of thing will even transpire. And that requires the restoration of the protections of the contract. Innumerable provisions of that contract were being denied. The denial of an independent federal grand jury, President of the National Defense Authorization Act, Section 1021, the deprivation of...
Police board, the farce is over.
The right to a jury trial that is a legitimate common law jury trial, jury nullification, and so many other protections the Constitution is being denied, which is also being type of violence. I'm also going to recognize that tomorrow is the 43rd anniversary of the abomination known as Roe versus Wade, which has resulted in such a diminution of an attack on the rule of law and a diminution of the sanctity of human life, the respect for sanctity of human life, that results in some guy thinking that he can fire 16 shots where none of his associates find it necessary to even fire a single shot. That's just a demonstration of the darkness of mind and the hardness of heart that simply can't be tolerated. Before I get on to the next issue, I have to ask a question to Ms. Lightfoot. You've said in the past that my big concern right now is the Lamb, Young, and Spencer murders. We partially percent of the innocent of the community. There's no punishment to innocent. We still have these murders, which there's no problems. Like pardon? Okay, my question is this. You said at the last meeting that when I asked Assistant Superintendent to finish this question, what the theater is in which the members of the public can question the Superintendent of Chicago Police Department as the chief policymaker. My question, what is that theater? This is the thing.
Thank you. Deborah Hopkins, Green Polly, Leroy Van Bowers.
I get inspiration from this man. Years ago, he had marched because things wasn't going on right. He was from Birmingham, Alabama, Montgomery, Alabama, Detroit, Marquette Park in Chicago. They threw rocks at him. They stabbed him and everything. So my thing is that we were born after BC. And there was a constitution that was established for us for laws to be abided by and enforced by the system of executive judicial legislation branch. None of this happened. When we call police, well, on my birth certificate they have Negro, but I'm human being. Only difference in all of us is we have different parents. That's the only thing. And so when I'm like, they drive by shoes, we don't like that. And then now, when the police was called, an elderly, Her house was shot up, no questions asked. And she shouldn't be dead now. So my thing is, my real concern is, if I'm not mistaken, the alderman who wants now, they're supposed to be making solutions. He wants to have tasers. I don't know if he's a documented gang member or what, but murder isn't the solution for no problem. Do you think so? No, it isn't. And then so now I had to bring this because no tasers. Tasers are execution. It's putting salt on the wound, and then it's like adding insult to injury. And now when the police came and they said it was an accident, well, if it was an accident, everyone in the jails should be out. And so I just want to stop. Please, no tasers. Tasers kill. God say thou shalt not kill. In this book of Ronnie Manuel, he put his hand on what we all do.
Thank you so much for talking.
You're welcome.
All right, Craig Collins.
These things and make them be accountable when they come and call for help and they shoot you dead. Are you gonna do something, or are they just gonna always still go home that same day? They should go to court too. I didn't hear anything. Not over here.
Ms. Holland.
Well, my name is Holly Craig. I'm from an organization called Moms United Against Violence and Incarceration. I guess I want to know, given that people are looking for profound systemic change and not just a new name and a position, or frankly, any new cop under any title, I wanted to raise 3 questions regarding this new superintendent. First, under the new superintendent, who will serve and protect Black and Indigenous people from the expansive and aggressively employed right of police to self-defense against any perceived or projected threat? And of course I'm thinking of Rakia Boyd here, of course I'm thinking of Ronnie Ann Holmes, of course I'm thinking of Betty Jones, I'm thinking of Dakota Bright, and so many other names we know and we should remember and never forget. Number 2, who will serve and protect Black and Indigenous women and youth, and especially Black trans folks who are arrested and criminalized for self-defense, even when it's clear they would be dead or gravely harmed had they not taken action, or lived under the constant threat of both, given that when they seek help from police, they are often criminalized or otherwise harmed. And I'm thinking of Tiawanda Moore here, who was sexually assaulted by a police officer when she called for help in a domestic violence situation, and then she was criminalized for it. Who will defend those offering no resistance, just the opening of a door, like Betty Jones? Finally, what will a new superintendent conclude from the fact that victims' families and advocates and Black youth have been coming to these meetings for months or years, except that they will not go away, that we are not going away, and that at a minimum you must fire Servin and Hernandez and all the police who've stolen and harmed Black lives? And on a personal note, I hope you will realize that because of them, because of these folks, because of people like Dorothy Holmes and BYP and all these amazing organizations, all these brave youth, that fewer and fewer people who look like me are going to come out to defend and give cover to people like you.
Dan McCoy, T.C. McCoy, Zoraida Ortiz, Reverend Lois Trash, and Pat Hill.
Good evening. Leroy Bowers. Nice to meet you too, Madam President. Thank you, Madam President, Mr. Vice President, and the board members for giving me this opportunity to speak. I haven't passed out. I'd like to again. Thank you. And I'd like to start off by saying that we need change immediately, and accountability and transparency. We need a superintendent that can really actually bring that to Chicago, to our communities, to the police department, and our elected officials. I'm presenting and promoting Andre W. Kellum, Assistant Special Agent in Charge of Washington Division Office, DEA. Andre has served for many, many years with the U.S. Department of Justice. He has the knowledge and understanding of what will work for the community at large police department and the mayor, or our elected officials. He brings a special spirit and faith that we all need so desperately. With Andre Gallon, his experience with the U.S. Department of Justice, DEA, he will bring a plethora of resources with him, which again is so desperately needed throughout the police department and our communities. I don't know anybody around Chicago or the nation that can bring the knowledge, the spirit, the change, and the integrity needed to do the job necessary. Andre W. Kellum can and will address and resolve important challenges facing the police department. Finally, this is our best choice for superintendent of the Chicago Police Department, and it's coming from the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Please be recorded. Sorry.
Easy board. I'd just like to make a comment. I did 28 and a half years for the Chicago Police Department. I love being in the police. Really do. I want to stay 28 and a half years. On the 27th of December, I was watching TV, and a lady and a young man got killed over there in the 11th district. And the story was that it was an accident. That the officer shot her by accident. And I just wanted to come and say this to the board. When he unsnapped his gun, was that an accident on purpose? When he pulled his gun out of his holster, was that an accident or on purpose? When he fired his gun, was that an accident or on purpose? And the result of him firing the gun, was that an accident or on purpose? Thank you very much.
It is clear that Jason Van Dyke is benefiting from bias-based policing. It is fact that my community of Pilsen, the 25th Ward, and numerous other brown and black communities are in civil unrest, disappointed and enraged at the fact that our tax dollars go towards paying people like Jason Van Dyke a paid leave after murdering Laquan McDonald. I firmly believe that accountability in the context of policing means that Jason Van Dyke be forced to pay back the city of Chicago total money awarded to him during his 13-month paid leave. I firmly believe that accountability in the context of policing means an immediate firing of Dante Service with no paid leave and no pension. As for public policy and fostering a culture in which police officers elevate the importance of telling the truth, let us remember the brutal murder of Fred Hampton by CPD, and the historical evidence should not be allowed to be sealed or concealed. Stealing and concealing evidence only will continue the culture of covering up CPD's torture and murder. That's all.
Thank you.
Truly, it's good to be alive. And I'm just thankful today that I have this opportunity to stand before this board. And just to say that I've been mistreated as an African-American female by the Chicago Police Department. And this has been going on since I was 18 years old, and I'm 66 today. And I do know that this mark on my arm came from 2 officers that did this to me in a domestic situation where I had an order of protection against the husband. But I'm living with this to this day from these 2 black officers, Stephen and Craig. We got away with it. Of course, we went to court and everything was thrown out, and I'm supposed to be crazy and this and that. But I'm living with this mark. So I just want to say, it's not like it used to be when we were in slavery. We're supposed to be free. We're supposed to be in a society whereby everybody matters, not just black, white, green, blue, purple, green. We all are supposed to be treated fairly and with some type of respect. I must say, under God's word, from what I know, Ms. Fry, since she left the public defender's office, it's been all kind of mess going on here. And And I appreciate you for what you did do while you were there, because I do believe you were fair. I also want to say that I was hurt last year around June by a white man, Mr. Thomas Brennan, who attacked me in the courthouse. And we do know that the police officers are instigating the cases. It goes to the court system, and everybody's involved together. However, this white man, nobody ever did anything to him. As a matter of fact, I got a call from a detective telling me nothing was going to be done to him. But he shoved me into the door downtown at the city hall, in the courthouse. And nothing was done to him. Nobody even contacted him. Thomas Brennan is his name. And I also want to leave with the new superintendent. We need a new superintendent that's going to be fair. I don't know what color he's going to be, but I feel that everybody who dealt with the McDonald's situation or was on duty during that time should have nothing to do with his selection. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Todd Hill, please. After which it'll be Raymond Richard, Gwen Baxter, Danica Hall, Geneva Lee Beal.
Good evening, Police Board. I'm here for the second time in as many weeks after coming to these meetings for over 25 years and not having said anything for about 20 years on the board. And the reason why I'm here for the second time is to reiterate, and I think you probably know by now somewhere deep in your soul that we're in a crisis. I think it's important though for the police board to do the public a service, many services, but one that is important is that I noticed on the website it doesn't give a history of the board, like why it was founded and when. And that's important, especially for these young people who are here, is because the police board was put in place during a time similar to what we're going through right now. There was no community involvement formally in regards to police discipline. And so at that time, Mayor Daley decided that he was going to appoint a board. The problem with that, and I think you realize that, and I'm going to ask for your assistance again, is that even though you are from the community, and I said it at Kennedy King, you were selected by the mayor. And so the people continue to feel disenfranchised. And of course, some of you I know, and I know you live in a community. But what we do have to have, so that we don't continue to perpetuate what we're experiencing tonight, I mean, just a 100% breakdown of a relationship between our community and the police, is that you have to encourage, you have to advocate on behalf of the recommendation I hope that I made last week. There is a group of retired police officers, troopers, sheriffs, public safety people who have the knowledge and experience of being police officers, who would be well suited to assist in picking a superintendent, because we know what that superintendent should possess. Unfortunately, it's been rumored that many of those who are currently on the department of deputy rank were ordered to put their names in. I hope that's not true. I hope that's not true. But the fact of the matter is, we will end up with similar appointments that we had with the last two superintendents, Jody Weiss and Gary McCarthy. Disastrous. And we can't repeat that. The last thing I want to say, oops, I said the last thing I want to say. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Raymond Richard. Raymond Richard.
Good evening. One of the first things I wanted to see in the city of Chicago, if y'all do select a superintendent, is someone who will be held accountable for their peers, the ones who are already on trial for killing our youth in the city of Chicago. Will they be charged? Now I know as a black man, if I pull a trigger, I'm immediately convicted and incarcerated. So now I want to know, why is it that every time an officer of the law pull a trigger and commit the same crime that I commit, he is not incarcerated? I want to know about do y'all really feel the pain of Sister Bland and Rakia Boyd, their families? Because what's going on right here it is a genocide, and it's open season on the black man. But that ain't gonna last too long. And we here crying out, letting you know with our demands, how long do you think we gonna sit up here and continue to let y'all kill our people? We're not gonna stand here and continue to let you just maliciously execute our youth as well as our mothers. And the genocide in the community, it relates to the officers who perpetuates it in the first place. So I think they all should be fired. I think they should be convicted. And I think their pensions should be turned over to the families who lied that they took.
Thank you. My name is Gwen Baxter, and I'm wearing a shirt that says the Sisterhood, and there's just a few of the other people with the Sisterhood shirt. We're a group of mothers whose children were gunned down in the streets of Chicago, and we have not had any. There's nothing. There's no findings. Nobody has found who has murdered our children, which leads me to believe or know that I'm walking among murder. I'm living among murder. I'm paying taxes in a city that allows us to live among murder. Not only that, but the people that are supposed to investigate our children's cases are treating us like shit. They act like we're getting on their nerves. All we want is justice for our children. We don't want, I'm just fortunate and grateful that my son wasn't labeled a gangbanger when he was killed. But there's a lot of mothers in our organization whose children were not gangbangers. That's the one part. That's my 1 minute session on that question. So, what can we do? What is this new superintendent going to do about these alleged cold cases and finding the killers of our children? My second question is, 3 houses on my block where I live at. I live in the 8th district. 3 houses have been gunned up at 5:30 in the morning. 5 o'clock between 5 o'clock and 5:30. One was my neighbor. I'm the block club president on my street. My neighbor, when they rung her doorbell, and when she came to her door, they gunned her down. I thank God that she lived, she did not die. They put a video on Facebook and they talked about it. The next day, my neighbor on the corner, who was a mechanic, was the neighborhood mechanic, they knocked on his door and no one answered his door, so they began to shoot bullets into his house. There's a retired school teacher that lives across the street. They knocked on her door and gunned her house up. All this happened between 5 o'clock a.m. and 5:30 a.m. That's early in the morning. I drive for Uber. I leave out at 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm now fearful of walking out of my house because there's my question is, what does it take? Do it take for the sisterhood to have a sister dead before the police will sit out there or before they'll do anything? If these young men are so bold, are bold enough to put what they did on Facebook, the superintendent, I live at 67 in Oakland. 67 in Oakland. What does it take for me to get some police presence out there? Well, I can go to work in the morning. All right, thank you. Okay, I'll wait for the answer. Okay, it's not a statement, it's a question. That's all. Can I get an answer to that question?
I'll meet with you after this, and you can give me some more specifics.
Hello, this is my first time here. My son was killed January 18, 2013. 5500 West North Avenue, inside of Popeyes. I've been in Chicago all my life, been on my job, worked for the government 27 years. But my question is, and there's some good cops, police officers out here. There's some good ones out here. I know that. And it's okay to say we don't have the solution because we don't have the solution. My question is, Popeyes had a camera, the dollar store across the street, the Dollar General next door, White Castle, but when they reviewed the tapes, nobody camera was working. And my son, he had gang affiliated. So what I want to know, is that why his case is not solved because they said he had gang ties? Like I said, we don't, I know you guys don't all have the solution, because we don't have the solution as parents. We wasn't given a manual to raise our kids. I'm a single parent. When you get a certain age, you go out there and you do what you want to do, but that still doesn't give that person the right to kill my son. And for the police, that's on the case. They are working with me now because I had to leave Chicago because my man was messed up. I was on retaliation, but I know that wasn't the way to go. I had to get my head clear because I have his 3-year-old daughter that I have to raise now. But my question is, my statement is, I know you guys don't all have the answer because we don't have the answer, but we have to work together.
Dory does. Dory has the answer. Dory has the answer. Dory has the answer. Miss Dory might look at the answer. Answer her question, Miss Dory. Give her some hope.
All right, thank you.
Geneva Reed, I am the mother of Sandra Bland. And what I want to say, I have been a part of a journey that is not a fun one for the last 6 months. What you all see here is pain. That's what it is, pain. And so as I'm standing here and I'm watching, it's been said, and I've even seen it myself, our law enforcement, some of them, have become body snatchers. I am a body watcher. And so I have watched every last one of you sit with me. And you say that you have asked the people to ask questions. If you are not writing down the questions, how can you remember what I'm saying if you are not writing down what I'm saying? So I watch body language. I watch slumps. I watch the function of the young. And when I say to you, when we are asked and given 2 minutes in each of these places that we go to speak, we're dealing with this lifelong pain that you can't take a picture of. You can't record it. You can't sit it off to the side and put it on the sunlight and snapshot it. But we're asked to be patient, okay? We're asked to wait for years, months, hours, peace, while your people are allowed all that they want to do. They're on administrative leave. Our people aren't on administrative leave. They are gone. And so there is no administrative leave for them. And it doesn't matter what color you are, that doesn't matter to me. What I'm concerned about is, where is your head? Because when my daughter was found, because we're found, there's still no answer 6 months later. Some families still no answer 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. And so we have opportunities every day as people. Anybody with sense, you've got 2 opportunities every day. You can either react foolishly, or you can respond appropriately. So just because I don't come across this counter on you, doesn't mean I'm not reacting appropriately. But you need to understand that. And it's real, and it goes farther than what anybody can explain to you, because you go through so many things in your mind as you miss your relative. But I would just ask that while these folks are executing our people, let's stop criminalizing the victim. Let's stop telling all the business about the victim, because it doesn't come from the media, it comes from the police. That's where it comes from. And so they throw us all under the bus. And then the secret background of the cop has got to be figured out. So I just say, if you talk about keeping the peace in the community, keeping the peace in the neighborhood, you have to understand that there can be no peace if we can't even get the pieces of information that we need to find out what happened to our family. So I say to you today, I may not scream you, I may not run all across the room, but I'm gonna keep talking. You will see me. This was my first meeting, it will not be my last. Do something, do something. All right.
Thank you.
My name is Kenneth Lambert. I represent Ms. Beal and her family. I know that this is a situation where you're asking for specific suggestions, and I just wanted to provide you with one. From my standpoint, it seems to me that officers many times feel like there is no recourse or no reprisal for what it is that they do, and when they many times lie, let's just be frank, they're not held to account. It's strikes me that in the event that an officer who is in a situation, in a specific situation where the citizenry gives trust, or is supposed to, or at least asked to give trust, that if an officer lies, they should be held accountable in a way that they are, they're charged with felony. And in that being the case, if they're found guilty of a felony, they would not be able to work again. It strikes me that with respect to the next superintendent that you appoint, that you find, that superintendent should be someone who goes to the judiciary and says to the judiciary that they are interested in making sure that in the event that their officers, the rank and file lie, that they are prosecuted. So the specific request that I would make is that when it comes to the next superintendent, that the superintendent makes very clear that when his or her officers lie, that they be charged. Because what happens in our setting, as you know, many of you that are lawyers, you know in our setting, when there is a lie that is told in court, it is overlooked. And there is no charge that's issued. And so in the event that you change that and you make it a felony, those things will change. Because no officer is going to want to step to the plate for a person they know is wrong.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. That concludes our speakers for tonight. We appreciate your coming. We've heard a lot of interesting commentary tonight, and we thank you for lifting your voices and bringing to us your concerns on a range of issues. Thank you very much. Do I have a motion to adjourn?